For number 48, did anyone get 17 cents?
I did.
How'd you get that, Giancarlo?
I put 51 divided by 3.
Why'd you do that?
Because it says how much is each pencil, and it's 50 or 51 cents for 3.
Good. Good. So if P is the price that you pay directly, it varies directly with the number of pencils you buy, okay? That means that P is going to be equal to a number K, and then we'll put N, and N will represent the number of pencils. Because remember, guys, if it says varies directly, that automatically means we're using something in the form y equals kx, right? So instead of y, we have P equals K times N, which is the number of pencils. What was the price that they paid? 51 cents. And then N, which was the number of pencils, was 3. So in order to solve for K, you just divide by 3, divide by 3. K equals 17 cents. That is the price per pencil. So each time that number of pencils increases, so does your price by 17 cents. Okay, number 49, a scooter can travel 72 miles per gallon. 72 miles per gallon of gasoline and holds 2.3 gallons. The function d of x equals 72x represents the distance d of x in miles that the scooter can travel with x gallons of gasoline. How many miles can the scooter go with a full tank of gas? What do you guys think we're supposed to do for 49? Anderson? Okay, good. And why? Good. So X is the amount of gas that we have, right? And a full tank is 2.3 gallons. So what we're going to do is we're going to say X. Let's have X be equal to a full tank, so 2.3 gallons. So D of 2.3 is going to be what our function was, 72 times X, which is now 2.3. So we get D at 2.3 is 72 times 2.3. What'd you get?
I got 165.65.
165.6.
Yeah, or 65.
Good. Questions? Yep. Mm-hmm. This is lesson 5.3, Slope-Intercept Form. Yes, we have talked about this before. Yes, it is not a very difficult lesson, okay? To write linear equations using slope-intercept form, to graph linear equations in slope-intercept form. Those are our objectives. Go ahead and copy those down. And then I've got a nice, pretty little picture down below showing you guys slope-intercept form and what everything means, okay? Y equals mx plus b. Okay, guys, let's move on.
No, wait.
3, 2, 1. Okay. Linear equations. A linear equation, guys, we already talked about. It's an equation that models a linear function. In other words, its graph is going to be a line. In a linear equation, the variables cannot be raised to a power other than 1. So y equals 2x, x is to the power of 1, is a linear equation. But y equals x squared. X is now to the power of 2, not a linear equation. Y equals 2 to the x, not a linear equation. The graph of a linear equation contains all the ordered pairs that are solutions of the equation. So wherever y and x complete that the solution to that equation, that's part of your graph. So just like how in the last chapter, in chapter 4,
students for the eruption. But at this time, all members of the boys' JV soccer team may be released from class and report to the locker room. Boys' JV soccer may be released from class and meet in the locker room. Thank you.
I forgot what I was saying. Okay. Graphs of linear functions. Okay, they may cross the y-axis at any point, and a y-intercept of a graph is the y-coordinate of a point where the graph crosses the y-axis. So you remember how for direct variation, we had y equals kx, okay? That one had to cross at the origin, okay? Because technically there's no b here, right? Our b is 0. So when our b is 0, it must pass through the origin, which is the point 0, 0. If you have y equals mx plus b, the plus b is whatever your coordinate is, or your y-intercept. So for example, this blue graph is in the form y equals mx minus 3, because it crosses the y-intercept at -3. So our b equals -3. And if we think about it, at this point, right, what's our x value at that point? At this point right here that I'm pointing the arrow to, what's the x value at that point? It's -3 in the y direction, but what's the x value? Tessa? 0. Very good. It's 0, -3. So if we make x 0, y equals m times 0 minus 3, what are we going to get? Y equals, well, m, anything times 0 is just 0, so -3. Whenever you make your x 0, that will be your y-intercept. Whenever you make your y 0, that will be your x-intercept. Now I'll show you guys how that works in the next slide. Okay. Slope-intercept form. We should all know this. Slope-intercept form of a linear equation of a non-vertical line is y equals mx plus b, where m is our slope and b is our y-intercept. So wherever our y-axis is crossed by the graph, that's going to be our b, and our slope, how steep we are, is going to be our m. Identifying slope and y-intercept. What are the slope and y-intercept of the graph y equals 5x minus 2? These are going to take us 3 seconds. What's the slope of this one? What's the y-intercept? Not -2. It's got to be a coordinate. So x is 0 for the y-intercept. And what's the y-coordinate? -2. Okay? Our b is what? -2. Okay? So our b is -2. Our y-intercept, we're going to put it in a coordinate, 0, -2. So another one. What's the slope of this? Negative 1/2. What's the b is what? 2 over 3. So our y-intercept is 0, 2 over 3. Easy? So far, right? What is an equation for the line with the slope negative 4 over 5 and the y-intercept 7? Y equals mx plus b. What's our m? Negative 4 over 5. What's our b? Positive 7. We're just going to plug those in. Remember, your slope is always going to be your m, and your y-intercept will always be your b. So now we've got y equals m, which is negative 4 over 5x, plus b, which is 7. Let's do one more. What is the equation of the line with the slope 3 over 2 and the y-intercept negative 1? Y equals what? 3 over 2x minus 1, or plus negative 1, okay? It's the same. Nicole, did you have a question?
No, sorry.
Okay. Okay. Now, we have a graph here on the next slide on problem 3, and we need to pick which graph is represented by this line, okay? Now, first off, we should identify a few things. Can we figure out the slope from this line? Yes, we can. Slope is going to be rise over run. And all we need to do is pick 2 points. So let's pick this point, and let's pick this point. To get from the bottom point to the top point, how much do we rise? 2 units. So we're going up 2. How much do we run? 1 in what direction? To the right. 1 right. So what's my slope? 2 over 1, which is 2. So we found out our slope. What's our y-intercept? How did you get that, Roy? Good. It's wherever the red graph, or our graph, crosses the y-axis. And it's at this point right here. When x is 0, y is negative 2. So our b is negative 2. Our y-intercept is negative 2. So from here, which of these graphs, y equals mx plus b, we need y to be equal to 2x minus 2. Our answer is D. Because our slope was 2 and our b was negative 2. So it's going to be y equals 2x minus 2. About this graph, This one was facing or going up, right? What do you expect the slope of the line to be just from looking at the graph? Well, what's different compared to this graph? Ashton?
It's facing up.
Okay. What's this one doing? It's going down. So what do we know about the slope? That it's going to be negative. Very good. So we know, very good, Angelina, that the slope is going to be negative. Oops. Because our graph is going down. Okay? So now let's come up with an equation for this one. Let's take this point and this point. What do I rise, guys?
2.
Good. In what direction? Down. 2, down. And what do I run? 2, where? To the right. So our rise is not just 2. What is it? -2, because we went down. And our run was? +2. So we've got -2 over 2. Does that simplify? Yeah, to what? -1. So that's our slope. Is that M or is that B? M. What's our B? You sure? Just kidding. Yeah, you're right. Why is it 2? Good. When x is 0, our y coordinate was 2. This point is 0, 2. So our b equals 2. What's my final equation for this red line? Give me your best shot, Roy. Can we make this look a little bit nicer? How can we make this look a little bit prettier? Y equals, can we? -x plus 2. Remember, we don't really need to include that -1. A lot of the times they just get rid of it and they just put -x. Actually, pretty much all the time. If you put -1x plus 2, I wouldn't take points off, but just keep in mind, like, a lot of the answers that you're going to see if it's multiple choice will not say -1x. It'll just be -x. All right, guys, this is where we're going to stop. Writing an equation from 2 points. So we've got 2 points, 2, 1, and 5, -8. Remember, guys, whenever we have 2 points, we're going to use the formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, okay? So in our problem, we have to establish which one we want to make x1, y1, and which one we want to make x2, y2. I always do the first one, x1, y1, so 2 is going to be x1, 1 is going to be y1, 5 will be x2, and y2 will be -8. So then from here, guys, all we do is we start filling in our equation. So this is going to be y2, which is -8, minus y1, which is 1, over x2, which is 5, minus x1, which is 2. From here, guys, we've got -9, because -8 minus 1 is not -9, divided by 5 minus 2, which is just 3. Does that simplify? Or do we leave it as -9 over 3? What does it simplify to, guys? -3. Beautiful. Who can tell me, what did I just find? If we've got y equals mx plus b, what did I just find? Y, m, x, b? What do you think, Roy? M. Why did we just find m? How do we know this is m? Ah, we use the slope formula. M is always our slope, right? So our slope will always be M. So this is our M. This is our slope, okay? Remember, this formula here is our slope formula. So when we find this, now we have our slope. So our slope is -3. Plug that back in. So now we've got y equals, M is no longer M, it's going to be -3, x plus b. Now take a look at what we do here. Once we have this equation, what we're going to do is we're going to plug in either point. So Alan, pick one of those 2 points, 2, 1 or 5, -8. Which one do you want to use? Alan? 5, -8?
Yeah, 5
Let's use it, okay? So at 5, -8, my x is 5, my y is -8. You guys agree? Okay? All we do is we plug those in. So now y, instead of y, we're going to write -8 equals, because we're taking this equation and we're plugging these in there. Okay? And then we've got -3 times x, which is 5, plus b. Now we solve for b, okay? So this is going to be -8 equals, what's -3 times 5? -15 plus b. How do we get b by itself? Plus 15 to both sides. What are we going to get on the left side? 7 equals b. All right, so now we take this b, we plug it back in. Our full equation, guys, with m and b filled in is y equals -3x plus 7. Anderson.
Why did we use the 5 common negative instead of the 2 common one?
Could have used either one. Doesn't matter which point you use. Because if it says that it goes through 2 points, both of them are technically solutions to the equation. So if you use 2, 1, you're going to get the same answer.
Okay.
I actually, you can try it. Go ahead and try it. See if you get the same answer. But remember, your slope is -3 regardless of which point you use, okay? All right, peeps. Moving on. Number 5. Now we're going to graph a linear equation, okay? So what is the graph of y equals 2x minus 1? Whenever we're given the equation, we can automatically figure out some stuff, okay? So based on this equation, what's my m? 2. So that tells me, what's my slope? No. What's my slope? If m is 2, what's my slope? 2, okay? Remember, m is always your slope, okay? Now, what's my y-intercept, Tessa? There we go. My y-intercept is -1, which is also my b, right? Okay, so if we draw a nice axis for the y, that was a nice one, and an axis for x, what point do we already know is going to be on our graph? Tessa? At the origin. Why? Is that for these kinds of problems? Remember, your y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis. If you plot the origin, you're saying that your y-intercept is what? 0, 0. Is that the point that we're looking for? We're looking for 0, -1. So Roy, what's the 1 point we know? Yep, 0, -1. So instead of 0, 0, Tessa, we're actually gonna, oops. Oh no. What's going on? Why is this happening to me? we're going to go to -1, and we're going to plot this point right here. Okay? Because this is our y-intercept. And our slope is 2. Our slope is 2. So that means how much are we going to rise? 2. And how much are we going to run? 1. Because this is, your slope is technically 2 over 1, which is your rise over your run, okay? So we rose 2, we went to the right 1, so this is our next point. Let's do it one more time. Up 2 over 1. So our graph, our line should look like this. Okay. Last question. A plumber charges a $65 fee for a repair plus $35 per hour. Write an equation to model the total cost Y of a repair that takes X hours. What graph models the total cost? So total cost is Y, so we're going to say Y equals, who wants to take a shot at writing this in MX plus B form? Go ahead, Anderson.
Y equals 35x plus 65.
Good. Why?
Because it's 35 times the amount of hours you work plus the 65.
Ah, very good. So what word was most important to tell you to multiply 35 and X?
35 per hour.
Per hour. This is super important, per hour. Because if it says per hour, you know you're going to multiply it with X, because X is the number of hours. So it should be Y equals 35X plus 65. Boom, bada bing, we done. Okay, guys. So I want you to turn in these